And so what happened to Dad? That was a black swan event. And that's what we're in right now, Susan. That's what happened to you. You just you decided you were going to go quadruple down and do 4 in a row. But we all have this idea. So the question I want to ask everybody is this. Did that response to that situation that Dad came up with, did he think about it and come up with it on that bed? Or did he literally have 60 years of preparation for that response?
Welcome to Raw and Real Entrepreneurship, the show that dares to bring no-nonsense insight to those who have the courage to start, grow, and scale a business. I'm your host, Susan Sly.
This incredible man, his father was the late Zig Ziglar, and I love what Zig said. He said, you don't have to be great at something to start, but you have to start to be great at something. Oh, so this gentleman had the rare privilege of spending his whole life by the ultimate mentor, Zig Ziglar. Can you imagine those dinners and Christmases? And, he is the CEO of Ziglar Inc. He was a collaborator on his father's 30th bestseller, Born to Win. He has his first solo title that came out last year, Choose to Win. And he expands on the Ziglar philosophies and the secret to winning at life. Tom is so successful in his own right. He speaks around the world to billion-dollar companies, small business owners. He speaks at academic institutions like Cambridge and Harvard. And the Ziglar brand is more relevant today than it ever was before. It has over 5 million likes on Facebook. The Ziglar Show is one of the top rated business podcasts. And when I reached out to this man and I said, hey, would you be open to doing this? We're just going to serve. There was absolutely no hesitation. He said yes. So with that, Tom Ziglar, I would like to welcome you to the Summit of Hope, and I'm here to learn and take notes from you.
Well, Susan, thank you so much. What a great opportunity to share a little bit of love, hope, and encouragement. When I was a little boy, I asked Dad, I said, Dad, what do we do? What's our business? And he said, son, we sell hope. And so we've always been in the hope business. And I want to start with the story. I don't really share this story that often, but in 2007, I was on a trip in Mexico, and I get a call. And the call was, come home, Dad's fallen. And so my father, Zig Ziglar, had been speaking in Los Angeles. 12,000 people, big arena. He flies home. It was great. He's 80 years old at the time. So imagine 80, he's out there rocking it, and he gets home and he goes to bed, and we don't know why. For some reason, he gets up in the middle of the night and he goes down the hallway, and we think he was going into his office, but he turned left instead of right, and he hit the first step, and he goes tumbling down a staircase, hits his head on the marble floor at the bottom, and gets a double brain bleed. So you can imagine, mom's there, she calls the emergency, they take him in, and they do all the stuff, and it's a bad concussion. It's a serious thing. So we're trying to get home, and he instantly lost his short-term memory. So the next day, I still hadn't made it back yet. He's in the hospital room. My sisters are there. My mom's there. The doctor comes in and gives him the report. Hey, this is what's going on. We're watching this. You have some swelling, but we're going to play it by ear. He had vertigo at that time, and he had the swelling, had a little headache still. And as the doctor is about to leave, Dad says, hey, today I think is Tuesday, because he was looking at the board and it had the date on it, like in the hospital room. He says, on Thursday, I'm supposed to speak in Houston, and there's about 15,000 people who are counting on me being there. Can you get me out of here so I can go there and speak? And the doctor looks at him and says, well, Mr. Ziglar, you won't be going to Houston, and you really need to think about the fact that you're probably never going to speak again. So how many of you ever had somebody put a cap on your life? So my sister Julie said that Dad just smiled. He didn't say a word. And then when the doctor left, just a few seconds later, Dad looked at my sister Julie, and he called Julie his nickname. He had a nickname for all of us. He called Julie Little One. He said, little one, I still have something to say. We're just going to have to figure out a different way to say it. And right there on that hospital bed is when the idea came about that Dad would still go to these events and Julie would interview him on stage. And so think about this. Over the next 4.5 years, he did over 100 events, 10 to 12,000 on average at these events. And lives were impacted and changed that never would have been impacted and changed because they saw Zig Ziglar not as the powerhouse speaker going back and forth with every word perfect, but as a real, transparent, authentic human being who was there for one reason only, and that's because he loved everyone in the room, and lives were impacted and changed. And so what happened to Dad? That was a black swan event. And that's what we're in right now, Susan. That's what happened to you. You just had that, you decided you were going to go quadruple down and do 4 in a row. But we all have this idea. So the question I want to ask everybody is this: did that response to that situation that Dad came up with, did he think about it and come up with it on that bed? Or did he literally have 60 years of preparation for that response? Yeah, 60 years. That's exactly right. Yeah, and the reason is Dad said this, we can't choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond to what happens to us. And so what I want to do real quick is I'm going to share a PowerPoint, and I've just got 2 slides that I want to show you, or 3. And it's what we call the stronger mindset. And I just want you to hear what I believe is a choice that we have right now. When I was a boy, 13 years old, Sunday would roll around and Dad would wake us up he'd wake us up at 7:30 in the morning. Hey, it's time to go to church. And I said, Dad, do I have to go to church? And he said, no, you get to go to church. Here's the reality. We're all going through this, okay? I want you to choose today that you're going to not go through it. You're going to grow through it. Because I believe that everybody on this call, you were built, you were made, you were designed for such a time as this. In other words, those around you, those you love, your family, your friends, your coworkers, your teammates, your clients, your customers, everybody who's in your network, they are looking to you right now for that little bit of hope and encouragement. And so I was thinking, if Zig Ziglar was here, if Dad were here, what advice, what word would he give? And I found this quote, and I want to break it down. Here is the stronger mindset that I want you to take with you during this time. Expect the best, prepare for the worst, maximize what comes. So what does that mean? Expect the best. Hey, look, we've got to have the attitude of gratitude, the attitude of courageous hope and encouragement. Dad said we needed to have that little curve that sets everything straight. That's the smile. When people hear us talk, when they hear us communicate on social media, when they see our texting, whatever the situation is, they need to feel in our spirit that we believe tomorrow is going to be better, or the next day, or the next day. Why? Because we're all in this together. And you see, when we feed our minds the right information, when we take in the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, and the positive, so that we can reflect this attitude of, you know what, we're going to get through this together. When we do those things, it literally lifts our own spirits. Scientifically and medically, we know that when our spirits are lifted, our immune system is boosted. Has there ever been a time where we need a stronger immune system? And when we lift the spirits of someone else, we literally lift their immune system. Lives are counting on our attitude right now more than ever. This hope, this encouragement. So that's the first thing. The second is we got to prepare for the worst. Well, wait, how do those two things go together? Let me tell you how they go together. We need to look at the future and say, you know what? What if this takes a little longer than I want it to? How would I prepare today? Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to get my 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to feed my mind and my spirit the right things. I'm going to take care of myself in every area. I'm going to look at my business and my career and the things that I have going on in the future. And I'm going to say, if this takes longer than I want it to, what can I do now to create margin in my life? And why do we want margin in our life? It's real simple. You've probably already had it, the 2 o'clock phone message or call. Hey, I'm scared, I'm lonely, what do I do? We've got to maximize what comes. And how do we maximize what comes? We give that hope and encouragement to everybody. We let them know we care and we love them. And then we follow up with a little bit extra the next day. Hey, I was praying about you this morning. You're on my heart. Is there anything I can do for you? And in your business, it's the same thing. You're going to have customers call you. Hey, I'm covered up with problems. Can you help? That's what you do, is you help. You maximize that opportunity. Then you give them a little bit extra, the little word of encouragement, the smile, the lifting of the spirits. My good friend, his name is Rabbi Daniel Lappin. He's a mentor of mine. He said this: God is never happier with his children than when they're solving the problems of his other children. Hey, guess what? From a military perspective, we are in a target-rich environment. We are surrounded by problems. When you expect the best, prepare for the worst, and maximize what comes. You can serve your fellow man, take the burden off of them, lighten their load, and in the process, it'll fill you up. All right, Susan, thank you so much. Man, 10 minutes goes fast, so I hope that was good, and I hope everybody here is blessed and are really taking notes and are using what you learned today.
Tom, that was beautiful. I just took a page of notes, and the chat is going crazy. And so thank you so much, Tom. That was so beautiful.